Peacemaker. I cannot believe you guys have forced me to talk about Peacemaker. But this is my channel, so I'm doing this my way, and we will dive into the entirety of the Suicide Squad verse as a whole, since I never really saw the original or Birds of Prey. I think this should be really interesting. If you are new to these types of videos that I do, let me go ahead and give you the layout. These past two videos were structured by my first impressions, then a written assessment for the films for each section. In this case, it will be for every movie, but sometimes it's for every season. So let's go ahead and jump deep into the Suicide Squad verse, starting with Suicide Squad 2016. Suicide Squad 2016. Finally saw it. Don't know what to think of it, but I finally saw it. So it's time to talk about it. First things first, right off the top of my head, I don't think this is an interesting movie. I saw Suicide Squad 2021 when it first released, and then I watched Peacemaker when it first released, and I like those a lot more. This is basically that, just with all of the fun, all of the rated R blood and everything, all of that just gone. It's a very serious toned movie, which I don't think Suicide Squad should have been. Other than that, the format feels very much so like Suicide Squad 2021. The first 30-40 minutes is just introducing all the characters and Waller getting the Suicide Squad stuff done. And we got a racist joke, everybody. Congratulations. There's a great racist joke within here. It stole Suicide Squad 2021's entire fucking flow. Everything's literally the same. It begins with like 30-40 minutes of nothing but introducing the characters and getting the Suicide Squad thing ready and getting everybody teamed up. And the rest of it is just doing the mission and things going haywire, which is literally what the 2021 film was about, just done better. And it wasn't PG-13. This is PG-13, which I think is a problem. It's a huge problem with the film. This is a film full of villains who kill people. Why aren't we seeing them kill people? You had to make up this entire movie. It's like this is Samurai Jack. You know the story of Samurai Jack. Genndy wanted Samurai Jack to kill people. He's a samurai. But, of course, obviously Carcinero didn't want that, so you had to think of a whole thing about going to the future and everything being robots and him having to cut up robots and you see oil and stuff instead of blood. This is basically that. Instead of them killing people, they have to kill these alien-like creatures. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't hit the same. I feel like this would have been a lot better if it was rated R. I feel like I would have liked this film a whole lot more if I saw it first. If I saw it before Suicide Squad 2021, and if I saw it before Deadpool, because I think Deadpool came out around similar times, and it blew this out the water also, because it was a rated R film about a group of villains or whatever working together under a certain type of task force. So of course, like, everything was working against this film. I'm gonna just flat out say that. Everything was working against this film, but I do want to talk about something in particular. One thing in particular that me and my friends have been hyping up for the longest, that we all say we are. The God Morbius. It is him. It is he who I am talking about now. It is the Joker, Jared Leto. The Joker was as weird and as eccentric as I thought he was going to be. I just recently saw The Batman 2022, so I just saw that Joker in there, and that's very much so inspired by Heath Ledger's Joker, which this Joker right here, Jared Leto's Joker, is totally different from all of them. He's a lot more, I don't even know the right adjective to use for him. He's I guess maybe flamboyant is the right word. He's a lot more energetic, a lot more flamboyant, a lot more in your face about who he is and what he does. This is not the bringer of chaos Joker like it is in The Dark Knight and The Batman. This is more of I don't know, a thug. Joker's just a thug in here. I think that's about it. He's coming out with a machine gun, shooting up a bunch of places, just trying to get Harley back and failing. He failed to get Harley back, which is, How did he fail to get Harley back? It's just really weird. I don't know why they made Joker like this. I wish more of his scenes were in here. Like, come on, give us a Joker movie. I want I, I want Ayer's Joker film. I want to see what this Leto Joker would be like if he was taking a full film on his own or as the main villain. I really would like to see that. So now I want to read off some of the quotes I have found within this film. Some of the quotes I thought were funny. Most of these quotes, or all of these quotes, are from Deadshot. Will Smith did a really, really great job with Deadshot in here. Was this cheerleading tryouts? Y'all jokers must be crazy. Oh, you deaf? You one of them deaf hoes? What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad? I think that honestly basically sums up the entire film. It definitely has its clips. It's not full of clips because, like I said, this is a more serious take on what the Suicide Squad is supposed to be. It's not inspired by Marvel like the other ones are. So it's not full of clips. James Gunn isn't at the helm of this. It's not funny. It's not supposed to be funny. People just say funny things every so often. The best things, the saving graces, whatever you want to call them. The best things of this film, to me personally, is Harley Quinn, Deadshot, and the Joker. I've already talked about the Joker. There's not really much to talk about Deadshot. If you saw Suicide Squad 2021, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, they all have similar backgrounds. Everybody has family issues. They're all hitmen. They have been arrested. There you go. That's everything. Specifically with Bloodsport and Deadshot, they have daughter issues. You know, they want to live a normal life, but they can't because they're hitmen. But Harley Quinn, if there's one mainstay within all of these Suicide Squad stuff, it's Harley Quinn. And that's because the actress did such a great job in portraying the wackiness of Harley, and everybody loved her. And she blew up. This Harley Quinn blew up after this film. That following Halloween, I was in high school at the time. That following Halloween, everybody was dressed up like Harley Quinn. It's insane. You couldn't go anywhere across the street without seeing somebody be Harley Quinn. You saw Harley Quinn over there talking to the neighbor's dog. Harley Quinn over here is stuffing candy in her bra or something. And it's just weird. It's just weird how crazy Harley Quinn blew up at the time. I don't think you'd see that now. I even had friends who dyed their hair blonde and did the two things in their hair, and it's just kind of weird, and it's just kind of weird. And why did this character, Harley Quinn, have such a normal aesthetic, in my opinion, blow up to be such like this mainstream iconography that I think Harley Quinn is bigger than this movie, honestly speaking. Is that her name? Margot? Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is not only the saving grace of this film, somehow she has grown bigger than this film. She's grown bigger than all of the films she has been in where she was Harley Quinn. Just because she's Harley Quinn. Like, Suicide Squad 2021 didn't need her in there, but she had to be in there because she's Harley Quinn. But other than that, this movie is quite boring, if you ask me. Some of the fight scenes are cool and all, but it's nothing that I didn't already expect, like I mentioned earlier. Like, some of my friend group, they always talk about this film, how it's wacky. It's a wacky film, and it's not really a wacky film. It's a very boring film, and I'm not sure if I'm just saying this because I already saw Suicide Squad 2021 and Peacemaker. So this going back to look at this, it's just like, this feels like it wants to be that, but it can't because it's PG-13. Nobody's really trying to have any comedy elements to it. You know, it's a very serious PG-13 take on the Suicide Squad. It's not cool. It's just not cool. I wonder, what do my friends think about this movie?
Scooter, what's going on, man? Skrilly said this had to do something with Scooge. Where's J-Mash? I thought we were going to be doing like the Black Widow movie or something.
I'm afraid J-Mash won't be coming to your rescue this time, Mr. Fizzy.
Well, first of all, J-Mash has never rescued me from anything. And why are you doing that voice?
You've lived your life laughing at bad movies, making a mockery of other people's hard work.
So Deathstalker goes in this cave, meets this guy, gets in a little scuffle, uses the sword, gets turned into a child, walks the guy out the cave, and then turns back into a man. Never explained. We'll say that it's a little sad considering that he's never even talked to this girl and it's just a fantasy in his head and all he's done is blown up in front of her. But, I mean, hey, if I had a nickel for every girl that I've blown up in front of without even having a single conversation with them, I'd be broke.
You've called these people's creations cringe and weird. I love Deathstalker. Your show is called Talking Trash, but I wonder, Fizzy, do you do it because it's funny or because you're insecure about your own creations? Perhaps deep down you know you are the cringe and weird one, and figure that if you call them trash first, they won't have the opportunity to do the same about you, Fizzy.
Nah, it's because it's funny. Have you seen that Sasquatch with the huge tits? That never fails to make me laugh.
This is why I'm holding you here. You only manage to see the trash in these films you review, and never the flecks of gold in between.
So what, you're gonna hold me hostage and force me to watch a movie over and over again or something?
Yes, it's like a saw trap, but movie themed.
That figures, dude. So what movie are we talking about here? You know, we talking about Trolls 2, The Room. What are we talking about?
I'm afraid it won't be that easy, Mr. Fizzy.
Well, I mean, come on, dude. Like, Getaven, Things, Gymkata, or like, what are we? Oh, God, no. Dear God.
What do we have here? 1 year later.
All my friends are heathens. Take it slow. No. Has it been a year already?
It has. It has been indeed.
Oh, how the time flies when you're watching Suicide Squad 4,000 times.
It certainly does. Now tell me, Mr. Fizzy, did you find any gold in these Suicide Squad hills?
Oh, so many, so many.
Well, then give us the highlights.
Well, for starters, the soundtrack.
The soundtrack is filled with some good pop songs, including one particular banger.
I mean, before the credits even start, they play House of the Rising Sun, You Don't Own Me, and Sympathy for the Devil. They rapid fire through that shit. And that's not mentioning the beautiful originals like Purple Lamborghini.
This seems like you're still maybe making fun of the movie, however, Mr. Fizzy.
God, no, I'm not trying to do that. I don't want no beef.
What did you think of the casting?
I loved Will Smith. Did you see his fit when Batman captured him? Quite the hunka. Speaking of the Batman, I've learned to love the scene where he's underwater. You know, around the 300th time I watched the damn thing, I started to notice the little details. Like how when Amanda Waller introduces Captain Boomerang, she says that he robbed every bank in Australia at least once. Now, I've been locked in this room for a year, so maybe my information's a little out of date. But as far as I'm aware, Australia has a lot of banks. I also saw in his little D&D character sheet that one of his fetishes is pink unicorns. That is a great joke, and definitely not just a ripoff of Deadpool.
Whoops, you weren't meant to see that.
Also on those little character intro sheets, I noticed that Killer Croc goes by King of the Sewers, and that Rick Flag golfs with a 3 handicap. Now, 2 of our main Suicide Squad characters don't get intros like that. I noticed this. It's Katana and Slipknot. Now, of course, as we all know about Katana,
This is Katana. She's got my back.
so we don't really need an intro for her. But Slipknot isn't really even mentioned until 43 minutes in the movie when he's introduced. Now, I'd like to point out that that's 4 minutes before Katana is introduced, and Katana's introduction is 4 minutes before Slipknot fucking dies.
I've noticed, Mr. Fizzy, you haven't been talking much about the Joker or Jared Leto's performance. I take it is because it's not as much of a gold fleck as the rest of this film.
Oh, quite the opposite, my benevolent captor. I think he's a genius. Jared Leto transcends the job of actor. And he just becomes the Joker. I mean, let's look at the scene in which the Joker learns that his plan to break Harley Quinn out of prison has failed. Well, the Joker is pure chaos, as we all know. And so having him lay out his guns and knives and all of his weapons in an organized, meticulous fashion is perfectly within reason for the character. Baby clothes in the back. Chaos. Not to mention the second mouth that he draws around his actual mouth just for this scene. Perfection. Oh, and how could I forget the smile he has painted on his hand?
So I take it you've learned your lesson, Mr. Fizzy.
Oh, yes, Scooter, I have learned my lesson. Please, I have learned. Please let me free.
You're free to go, but never forget to see the gold things in these films instead of just the trash.
Well, what do we do now?
I don't know, maybe you want to watch a movie or something with me?
Sure, what did you have in mind?
Have you ever heard of Morbius? So, I've now seen Birds of Prey, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. I actually think this movie is a lot better than 2016's Suicide Squad, and I'm not sure if it's because we didn't get a long, boring beginning of being introduced to all the characters just for us to be in a plot that I just don't care about, or if it's just because this one's rated R and we can actually see violence within this film. I'm not sure which one is it. I wonder which. At the time this came out, a lot of people were comparing it to Deadpool because of the self-narration and all the fourth wall breaks within the film, which I can see, but I think this works really well for the film, especially because the main character is Harley Quinn, the crazy person who's mental in the head. It just works for her to tell her own story. Potentially the story could be messed up. Potentially the story could honestly not be true. It couldn't be true, honestly, because Harley Quinn's crazy and she can make stuff up anytime she wants to. But this movie was good, and I think it helped out a lot that we mainly focused on one character. I think Suicide Squad threw me off because I've already mentioned this. The first 40 fucking minutes is just a long exposition of being introduced to every character, and we didn't have to get through that within this film. We just had to see Harley Quinn, say, hey, her and Joker broke up, which why they did all of this, I guess, so they didn't have to show Jared. Why didn't they want to show Jared? Come on, guys, come on. And this movie is basically about her trying to find herself, trying to become her own person, because for her whole life she's always fallen in love, being broken up with, falling in love, being heartbroken, and it's just a cycle that keeps happening and happening. She wants to feel loved herself, for herself, by herself. Now a lot of people are after her, and this diamond gets stolen, and there's just a lot of stuff that happens within this film, surprisingly. And I also think all the misfits coming together at the end to feel like an actual unit works better within here than it did in Suicide Squad 2016, where I just didn't physically believe, they said it within there, oh yeah, we're family now, guys, and I just didn't believe them. I believe these women within here a lot more. These characters within here, they feel a lot more like the situation they're in forced them to work together, and after that they're like, we actually make a pretty good team. Unlike Suicide Squad 2016, where it's like, hey guys, we're not even finished with the first team, and a lot of us haven't even done anything, but we're family now. This film overall is just more fun, more jovial, and it just has this more bright energy to it that 2016's didn't have. And it just works for the film and for these wacky characters that are within this film. Like, everything works. Did people hate this film when it came out? It's actually pretty good. I actually really like this film. The visuals are great. Some of the camera shots they do was great. There was this one scene at the beginning where Harley Quinn's going into the police station to find Cassandra, and she's shooting out all those smoke bombs or whatever, and she's just walking through it, and you see her. There's a lot of beautiful scenes within here. It's a really good movie. So in 2016's talk, I did a fun thing where I said quotes from Will Smith's Deadshot, and I had to think about some stuff in here. So welcome to the segment of what would Will Smith's Deadshot say? What are we? Some sort of birds of prey? You ate the diamond. You're one crazy bitch. Harley, yeah, that hoe, my friend. Y'all jokers must be crazy. Hi, I'm Deadshot and not Will Smith. And this has been what will Will Smith's Deadshot say within this film. There's nothing else really to say about this film. In the last one, I had a couple more things to say because that was the first time I finally got to see Jared Leto's Joker, and it's a meme, and I had to talk about it. In this one, there wasn't really any big characters or anything for me to discuss. I've already known Harley Quinn for a long time at this point, and seeing her character still be Harley Quinn, it's nice. She's a good character. And this film is probably her best portrayal in my opinion. I've seen all of them now at this point, and I think this is the best portrayal of Harley Quinn we've had in film so far. So with that being said, I guess that's it for Birds of Prey. It's a good film. I would consider it a great film, especially comparing it to 2016. It feels more like a film. It feels more like they came in with a plan and perfected it. Like, whoever directed it perfectly, and it becomes even more perfect in Suicide Squad 2021. I was originally going to ask myself, why didn't they do a Birds of Prey 2? But, Harley Quinn ditched them at the end, so it makes sense why they did it now. I do want to know where the kid is, because she was nowhere to be seen in Suicide Squad 2021. Will we get another standalone Harley Quinn film? I'm not sure. I have a couple of questions that hopefully, we get answers to soon. I know I'm not going to get answers for them within Suicide Squad 2021 or Peacemaker, but I don't know. I guess I still have hopes, just in case. Compared to 2016, this one blew it out of the water. I could understand if you weren't a fan of the self-narration or the way how some of the scenes were told out of order due to Harley Quinn's sporadic mind, but I couldn't help but enjoy this outing at creating a Suicide Squad-esque movie. The characters were nice, the villain was more interesting than in any other Suicide Squad related film, but honestly that's not saying much. This movie would have been a 5 out of 5 if Joker showed up and tried to get Harley back, but Harley refused to. I would have liked that a lot. Out of everybody in 2016's Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn was the only one they could have done this for. No one would have went to see an El Diablo or a Killer Croc movie. Well, I might, but a lot of people wouldn't care for those. If I had to think about any flaws of this film, I don't think I could. Maybe the actual plot itself about the diamond of a killed rich family have some code on it was very uninteresting, and having Cassandra swallow the diamond for no reason seemed a bit too plot convenient as well. Like it was the only way they could think of getting her involved in this story. It gave me a generic heist movie type of feel. The characters definitely carried this movie with their portrayals and interactions though. It was just a fun second shot at getting the Suicide Squad stuff down, and I think they successfully did that. After looking at some of the reviews, most of the complaints are that it's sort of an unoriginal movie, which what isn't, and the villain was lacking, which I've already stated that is probably the better villain that any of these Suicide Squad films have had. I'm curious about Suicide Squad 2021 because I've already seen it twice, and I know that it's better than this film mainly because of the casting is so strong. I'd have a hard time putting this or Peacemaker above one another though. So this is my third time watching 2021's The Suicide Squad, And I'm really trying to figure out how I want to talk about it. I think the best way to talk about it is in like retrospect to the other Suicide Squad films. On a comedic level and maybe even a writing level, this is very similar to Birds of Prey. So we're not going to compare this to that one as much. We're mainly going to focus on this one to the original live action Suicide Squad film and how this one just did it completely better. Knocked it out of the water, knocked it out of the park. It's just so much better than the original. For one, I know I said this during Birds of Prey, but I think I had to emphasize it yet again. It's rated R, and that automatically makes it so much better. These guys are villains. They have like lower moralities than superheroes. You see them kill people. Like, they kill people. That's how they got locked up in the first place, you know? So it just makes sense for these stuff to be rated R and for you to see them literally slaughter people. And they did that a lot in this film. Since I saw this film first, I didn't know how hard of a reset this was to the original Suicide Squad film. But after looking at it now, looking at all of these films, I can now see that it's a kind of soft reset. And it's not necessarily even a reset. It's a continuation. Like, the first one still happened. We still have the same Harley from before. We still have the same Rick Flag from before. And even at the beginning, we still have Captain Boomerang. Now, 2 of those 3 people have died, so this is kind of like, let's get rid of that Suicide Squad and let's just focus on this side of the universe now. It is like that, but is really the same world. Like, that Joker exists in this Suicide Squad as well. We just didn't see him. They also didn't show him in Birds of Prey, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, they actively tried not to show him in there. So in my opinion, the first like 30 to 45 minutes of the original was very boring due to the fact that they had to set up Waller, set up the whole Suicide Squad concept in general, and then they had to give like backstories for every single character that they introduced for it. I think this one knocked it out of the park with Waller just already being established and walking around telling Bloodsport, our protagonist of this film, just telling them a brief description of everybody. I think they used flashbacks and backstories so much better in here just by giving us like, not necessarily giving us every detail, just giving us like one-off quotes here and there, a little bit of a flashback right here, a little bit of a flashback right there. This is why this person feels this way. OMG. I think that was done a lot better within this film. It's not like they gave us like 10 to 20 minutes worth of somebody's flashback that probably is gonna die in this film. Like, I'm so happy about that. Another thing this film handled better is the concept of a team and the believability that these people will work together as a team. In 2016's, I didn't really believe that those guys would work together as a team. And like, when 30 minutes is left and they're finally at their end's work and everything's just going haywire, the flaming dude, I forget his name, I think it's El Diablo, that's his name. El Diablo mentions them as his new family, and I was just confused. This is you guys' first time working together. You guys didn't get along for the entire film. It's not like y'all had to have each other's backs or anything. Like, why is this your new family? What motivates you to say, hey, this is my new family now? Nothing motivates you to say that. I just don't believe it. Whereas in 2021 Suicide Squad, I do feel like it's more believable. We get to see them joke around and try to get to know each other a bit more within here. They travel with each other, they have to sleep together, and you see the bond grow. You see them all form some sort of a bond with each other. So you understand it at the end if one of them wanted to say, OMG, we're like a family now. None of them did say that, and they're probably all going to go their separate ways after this. But like, if they would have said that, I would have believed it more, because you know, we got to see them bond and grow throughout this film. Whereas in the other one, they barely had time and was just fighting a bunch of monsters left and right. And then at the end goes, yeah, we're family. One thing 2016's did better. That's correct. 2016 did do some stuff better. And I'm not talking about Joker for once, although I do think they did Joker really well in that one. That is probably my favorite Joker. The one thing I think they did really well is the bond between Deadshot and his daughter. They try to emulate that. I know they wanted to get Deadshot back for this film, but they couldn't, so Idris Elba had to step up and he had to become Bloodsport. Bloodsport and his daughter had no screen time within here, and I think that's a detriment to the believability of, I don't know, their relationship. I do believe Deadshot and his daughter's relationship. At the end, we see him actually go there and it's like, yes, I want to be there for my daughter. I want to help her with math. I want to see her. We don't really see that much from Bloodsport. Like, he mentions her every now and then, so we know she's a character. But other than that, he doesn't really go like, yes, my daughter loves this. So, oi, bruv, my daughter's kind of like this. He mentions Cleo kind of reminds him of her, but that's it. That's really it. The next time we see her after the beginning where they're yelling at each other to establish that he has a broken relationship with his daughter is at the end where she's seeing him on TV and seeing him save the world. 2016's did that so much better with Deadshot and his daughter. But now, it's time for our favorite segment of the day. What would Will Smith's Deadshot say if he was in this film? And he has some couple of spicy ones today. I can't believe Will Smith would actually say stuff like this. What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad? Holy shit, is that Pete Davidson? Wow, Patrick done got big. Harley, you're still one crazy bitch. And that is the end of what would Will Smith's Deadshot say if he was in this film. I don't think I have much else to say about this film. The fighting was really good within here, especially Peacemaker versus Rick Flag. I really liked the visuals throughout that entire fight. Harley Quinn, when she was escaping, the visuals and stuff in there was amazing. It was just fantastic. Flowers, petals, everywhere. Fucking loved it. James Gunn did a really good job with this film. If I had to leave you guys with one thing, it would be that the characters really make this film, in my opinion. One thing that all of these Suicide Squad films have in common is that the villains are kind of lackluster. I know Starro's supposed to be like this really big, over the top thing, and he's supposed to have a lot more abilities and a bigger role, I think, in the comics. But I don't know, it's just kind of felt lackluster. I couldn't take a giant CG starfish terrorizing the town that seriously, And in the other ones, I don't know, they've just had a hard time with villains. I even think this in Peacemaker. James Gunn's really huge strong suit is the way he writes his characters and their believability of the bonds that they grow between each other. I really think that's his main strong suit. It's been 2.5 weeks since I filmed that first bit, and I haven't written this part out yet. Looking back, I do appreciate what this movie does. It kept the characters and previous events that happened intact while giving the franchise a soft reboot that was needed. Personally, I think that was implemented within Birds of Prey, but if they continue to keep the same director for the rest of the Suicide Squad franchise, I'll say this film is the one. Compared to his other stuff that I've seen, which is just Guardians of the Galaxy and the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, this feels like he has more freedom and knows what he's doing with the characters. I'm talking about James Gunn, if you didn't know. I said this earlier, but I feel like every sort of action-y James Gunn film just has bad villains. From Scrappy Doo to Ronan, who was overshadowed by Thanos in the film, to Starro, who feels like his role should have been more important than just wanting revenge on his captors and wanting to take over a small country that he's in. I'll get into the dialogue more within Peacemaker because that series makes it more prevalent that his strong suit is just his character writing. If I had to give this movie any more cons, Harley Quinn technically didn't need to be in this film. I understand why she is because she was the largest and most important thing to come out of Suicide Squad 2016, but her role within this film was really not that important and was mostly just here for comedic effect. I do enjoy that this is still the fully developed character, though we saw change from the first movie to the end of Birds of Prey. I just don't think she was needed within this film. Whenever we get the sequel to this film, it should be one of two things. Bloodsport and Deadshot working on a mission together, I just think that would be jokes. But the better option in my opinion is to see how someone in the Suicide Squad would interact with a member of the Justice League. Like, let's say Flash, for instance, gets arrested, never seen that coming. in the story this time, and to be released, he has to work with a villain on a Suicide Squad mission in order to get out. Now, it is time for Peacemaker, which I've been dreading because it's a 10 episode, 40 minute to an hour long each series, which I have seen before. But I guess I'm ready. Let's just jump into it. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So, finally finished Peacemaker for the second time. So, I think I can say this show wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for Suicide Squad 2016, Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad 2021, the Guardians of the Galaxy films, and like everything in between, including The Boys and, you know, Marvel's Disney Plus original stuff. Peacemaker wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for all of that stuff existing and kind of changing the game of what it means to be a superhero media, you know? One thing that is a con about this though is that it's a series, because I feel like if you cut out a good portion of the stuff that kind of didn't matter, it could have easily been a film, but they had to be like, hey, Marvel over here, they're doing their Disney Plus original stuff, so we're gonna do our stuff on HBO Max. One thing I do like about DC stuff better though is that you don't have to watch each series to get what's happening in the movies. Like, most of the series can be their standalone thing that's happening outside of the movie universe, but still kind of ties into it. So I do like that better. And plus, I can say that I have never finished a Marvel Disney Plus original, and I've seen Peacemaker twice now, so they're good on the plus side for that. Good job, guys. Probably won't watch the Penguin though. I really should have thought about this series after the first time I watched it, which was when it first came out. But I really wanted to do it like this. I really wanted to talk about all the Suicide Squad stuff. So after viewing it for the second time, I really want to talk about what happened in it less and more about the aroundness of it, what's happened around it. Like, one aspect I want to talk about is the aspects of Peacemaker's character within the Suicide Squad 2021 film. In that film, there was really no like introspective moments for Peacemaker's character. Like, throughout the series, he has this whole like duality because of what Rick Flag said. But if he actually had a duality, wouldn't he have shown some signs of sympathy after Rick Flag said that? Because right after that, he was still on mission trying to get the drive from Bloodsport and Ratcatcher 2. He was actually still trying to kill them. And if he actually felt this sort of introspection, wouldn't he have felt something or like shown some sign of weakness after after Rick Flag said what he did? I don't know. I just see that as one flaw that they retconned for the series. But I understand why, because it's probably really hard to make a series about a cold-hearted killer, you know? You want to give this character some personality. You want to give each of these characters some personality, because a lot of these characters didn't talk within Suicide Squad 2021, except for Economos. He's the only character that had occasional one-liners around Amanda Waller. Once in Suicide Squad 2021, Hardcore was back there, but she didn't say anything. And like, I think everybody else is added on for this specific series. Just like the rest of the films, and even the James Gunn films we talked about so far, it has to do with this ensemble team coming together and learning to love each other as a family towards the end. And just like the rest of those James Gunn stuff, this does have a lot of really good character moments within here. And just like the rest of the James Gunn stuff, I do think the story, or like the main villain or whatever, is very lackluster compared to the character direction and stuff within here. Character stuff, strong point. Everything else, kinda low tier. I do like the jokes. I do have one more problem with James Gunn stuff though. There's one really big James Gunnism that he does within everything that I've noticed when I first saw Guardians 1. And that's his love for 70s rock and mainly glam rock. So I don't have a huge gripe with putting that type of music as the soundtrack and playing it every now and then within the show or in the movies. What I have a problem with is like whenever he gets the characters like Star-Lord or Peacemaker, for example, to talk about the bands that he loves, You know, it's very apparent when he's like, hey, I'm gonna just shove my favorite artist down your throat, and I'm gonna make these characters talk really nice things about it, and you're just gonna have to like it. Because you can't stop it, you know? Especially when two characters start like really gushing about their favorite artists and stuff. You're like, okay, James Gunn's just rubbing one off right now because like he wrote this. Yeah, it's not like they're God damn it. It's not like they're actually having this conversation about bands they used to listen to back in the day. This is James Gunn writing something for one character to say and then writing something for the next character to say. That's it's literally the equivalent of me writing somebody something to say, oh my god, I love the Suicide Squad, and then I'll write the next person and say, yeah, it's just so good, I can't believe all those characters really work together so well, it's just such a fantastic film. Like, yes, you two will agree, because I wrote you guys to agree on this. It's just so funny. It's just so funny to me, you know? My first opinion, thoughts on this, though, is that I actually like the show. I actually really enjoyed the characters. I think the characters are what drove me to say I like the show and I want to continue watching this. I don't know what season 2 can offer for me. I guess they could, I don't know, show what happened after Adebayo kind of told the whole world about Suicide Squad. But I really don't know what else they can do. It's kind of weird that they did a season 2 because it looked like everybody was going to die towards the end, but they didn't. I don't know. I just really liked the film for what it was, and I think that's as much as I can say. Will I score it as high as Suicide Squad 2021? No. I'd probably put it on the same tier with like Birds of Prey, you know? Would it be any higher than that? So yeah, I think that's it. So let's go ahead and go to our final thoughts of what we think about Peacemaker. This time, I don't even know how long it's been since recording the on-cam portion of this review. I want to be slightly more positive within this portion though. One thing I appreciate a lot is John Cena. Yes, I happen to be a wrestling fan, but this has nothing to do with that. Him and Dave Bautista have this quality in them that I don't see them as the actor or the wrestler within something when I'm watching it. They are just the character, which is hard to accomplish. I have a hard time suspending my disbelief in anything with The Rock in it. I mean, he's The Rock. He's this super megastar that's in like everything, and most of the time, it's the same character on the surface level. Each character within this series held up on their own. None of them felt shoe-in or one note besides maybe Adebayo's wife, whom played the role of the supporting and caring wife who stays home. Personally speaking, I wanted this to be a one season and done show. This character, this whole team is established now. If you do anything more, you're just gonna have to force more tension between these characters that have already been resolved in this one season. But the series did get greenlit for season 2. Like I already said, I'm not a fan of these Marvel and DC streaming series, and adding more just because of the popularity of a good single story just feels wrong. Now on top of that, we're getting a Penguin series and Miss Marvel just finished, and it's just all too much, man. Some people were even confused going to see Doctor Strange without knowing about any of this multiverse stuff, and like, it just needs to be more simple, you know? Like, it's fine to have an overarching story throughout series and movies, but let them have a satisfying plot of their own, you know? If there's anything to personally take from these films, it's to cherish what you have, whether it's family or friends, because those people are the ones that have your back when you need it the most. I know a lot of creators normally have something personal to say around the end of these longer formatted videos, but after watching all of these, honestly I'm just gonna need a break from the whole group of misfits getting together. You can see the writing, more specifically for the characters, get better if these movies come out, with the only character that shows up throughout all of them having good growth is Harley Quinn, and I guess Rick Flag to a lesser extent. The soft reboot with the Suicide Squad was necessary, and it did give life and popularity to something that just constantly got shit on no matter what it did, even though I think Birds of Prey was completely fine as well. If we get another Suicide Squad film, I'd want more new characters to be fleshed out. I don't think I'd want any repeat characters within it. They could do another solo series for an already established character like Deadshot or Bloodsport. I just don't want another Peacemaker season. None of these solo projects should have a season 2 unless the character's development aren't resolved, but I believe most of Peacemaker's baggage is already resolved, so therefore a season 2 is not necessary for Peacemaker. But you know what, I think I've been rambling on way too long at this point. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Like, genuinely, I deserve it. I'm joking. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, subscribe, be active in the polls. Yep, that's basically it. Goodbye.